Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
Hello, Administrator Nelson. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Hey, Station. This is NASA headquarters. Bill Nelson and Pam Melroy here. How do you hear me?
Senator Nelson and Pam, welcome back to the space station. I have you loud and clear. How do you hear me?
Hey, we hear you great. Frank, you've made all kind of records up there, and you've had 6 months that you didn't expect. How are you feeling?
Hey, sir. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was unexpected. In some ways, it's been an incredible challenge, but in other ways, it's been an incredible blessing. And so, you know, I count myself lucky and honored to be able to represent the agency and our country. And yeah, looking forward to getting to 365 finally. I think that'll be a really good milestone for our nation to achieve.
So you've got the replacement crew that's about to come in a few days. Then you all will be going home. Will you get to see your family when you land in Kazakhstan, or will they be reuniting with you back in Houston?
Yes, sir. Well, I'll get to see my CB family in Kazakhstan, but unfortunately, I won't get to see my wife and kids until I get back to Houston. But it'll be good to see some familiar faces in Kazakhstan for sure.
Pam?
Yeah, speaking of your wife and kids, they've been on my mind so much this last year. I can't even imagine. When you launched, you thought you were going to be up for about 6 months or less. And now it's extended, and I know they've been tremendously supportive of you. I just want to ask, I hope there's nothing critical that you planned on being home for that you've missed. How have you been able to support your family from space?
Hey, Pam. Well, first of all, thank you so much for thinking of us. And yeah, you know, there were some actual, I mean, this was a big year for us. We had our oldest finish off her plebe year at the Naval Academy, and then our our son headed off to West Point. And so, yeah, just big challenges as they apply for and start off their college and young adult careers. But at the same time, you know, we felt some incredible love and support and just the prayers from our family and friends, our community. They just came around us and supported us. And honestly, seeing the support that my family was getting made it so much easier to be up here and focus on the mission because it just took that weight off my shoulders. And, you know, it was also, like, as much as it was a challenge for me as a father to miss all those things, it was also a pretty proud moment to see Deb and the kids just thrive and overcome. And I'm sure they missed me, but at the same time, you know, we all took on the challenge together, and it was just really neat to see them just have a great attitude throughout the past year.
Hey, Frank, tell everybody how you can communicate so frequently with your family. It's quite a contrast to the space shuttle when we flew, and I flew way back. They wouldn't let us talk to our family. Now, our family could listen to the communications going on, but of course, we were only up a week, a short duration. You're up there for a long time. Tell about that communication.
Yeah, the communication really is key. So when we first got up here, we had the voice over internet protocol telephone calls that we could pretty much make a phone call anytime we weren't working and we had KU availability. And then a few months into our stay, we started developing a video conferencing capability. And then that became more and more robust and something we were able to enjoy. So really for this last half of the mission, at least a couple times a week, I was able to do a video conference with my family, which was huge because it just helps you stay so connected to obviously talk to them, but then to see them, I think just changes the whole paradigm. And it was really pretty special to be able to do that.
That's great. I just have to ask, do they love seeing you floating in zero G? Do you do backflips to entertain them?
Yeah, it was really pretty cool to show them around. As you guys know, once you're up here for a little bit, you really get focused on the work, and sometimes you forget to appreciate the fact that you are floating around and that you have this amazing view down below you. And so every time I would show them around, it was pretty special because they would remind me. Also, the other thing that it kind of you lose track of is the hum of all this life support equipment, right? And it's just constant noise, but you tend to just drone it out. And when I would hear myself on the video conference, you hear that background noise, and it just reminds you that it's there. And again, just reminds you of how complex this entire station is, and what an incredible feat it is that we've been living in this thing for 23 years.
Tell us about some of that work. Tell us about the science that you're doing.
Yeah, it's been really pretty special. We've been really busy this past year. Some of my favorite science, obviously, as a doctor, is the biological sciences. We've done some plant experiments, grew the first tomatoes in space. We've done some genetic studies on plants, which I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out, because it's looking at, hey, the adaptations that plants develop in space, are they able to pass that on to subsequent generations? And so I think that'll be pretty cool science. We did the first 3D printing of human tissue up here in the biofabrication facility. And that was pretty cool to both run and see. And then the material science was also pretty special, doing some of the fiber optics development that we did up here, the electromagnetic levitation facility. The combustion chamber. I've been the one thing that you do get to do as the more time you spend up here is you get to have hands-on just about every part of the station. And so I count myself pretty blessed that almost every single experiment we've had up here I've been able to take a part in.
That's absolutely amazing. I mean, when you think about all the different things that you just talked about, and all the different things that are, the fiber optic is going to, have a potential transformation for commercial. But I think the human part is very compelling, and it's great to have a doctor on board. But I do have one question for you. Did you eat the tomato?
That's hilarious. I don't know who put you up for that, but I did not eat the tomato, and I wish I had at this point, because I think everybody thinks I did. And no, and it just perplexes me. I spent so many hours looking for that thing. But as you know, sometimes you lose things up here, and despite it being a relatively small size, it's amazing how you lose something and then you just never see it again. But I'm sure the desiccated tomato will show up at some point and vindicate me years in the future.
Hey, Frank, tell our audience about how it ended up that you had an unexpected 6 months more.
And sir, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. You ended up staying 6 months more in space on board the station than was originally planned. Let everybody know what happened.
Sure. Unfortunately, our Soyuz spacecraft developed a leak, we think through a micrometeorite strike in the coolant system. And unfortunately, the spacecraft was essentially intact, but we weren't really sure whether we as a crew would be safe in our return. And obviously, that's a critical component, not just to our safety, but also, and perhaps more importantly, to the computer systems that manage our re-entry. And so because of that, both NASA and Roscosmos came together. And again, as much as it was a challenge to stay an extra 6 months, I'm so grateful that the agency was able to say, hey, you know what, the safe thing to do would be to fly up a new spacecraft and have them wait and ensure a more safe return. And so, again, I count it as an incredible blessing that we have the capability to do that and that all parties involved were willing to do that. And so because they flew up the new spacecraft, we had to essentially backfill the mission that crew would have been filling, because they had to fly that spacecraft up empty, because we all have to have a safety vessel essentially to be able to go home in case of an emergency. And so they couldn't fly up both a replacement crew and our ability to have that safety ship. And so again, it's been a challenge, but I am looking forward to a return in a more safe and more secure spacecraft here in a couple of weeks.
You know, you not only have set that record, but it is also timely because it's Hispanic Heritage Month. And you, as a Hispanic American, symbolize the diversity of the wonderful, rich fabric of America. Give us a message on this month's celebration.
Yes, sir. Well, it is very special timing. And actually, I came up last year in the same month of September. And so it's been a unique sandwiching of my time up here. And it's really an honor to represent both our country and my Latino community. And I love the fact that America is becoming more diverse. And I think because of that diversity, we bring different ways of thinking, different backgrounds. And really what that gives us is more unique perspectives on problem solving, right? And as we face bigger and more complex problems in the future, especially as we take on the challenge of human spaceflight deeper into our solar system, I think those unique perspectives are going to provide amazing and different points of view that will help us solve problems in ways that we can't even imagine right now. And so not just to Latinos out there, but to all of Americans, man, I can't wait. As a parent to 4 young kids, I've seen what this younger generation is capable of, and I think our nation's going to be in good hands, and I can't wait to see what these younger generations, the lengths that they'll take our country to, and I think it's going to be pretty incredible to watch.
That's just awesome. That is such a fantastic message. I do want to go back to say that I know what a big deal it is for you and your Russian colleagues to stay for an extra period of time, but it also gives you kind of a unique perspective. I mean, the station has changed, actually, because the crews have changed. When you got up there, Crew 4 was aboard station. You have seen crews come and go. You have welcomed them and joined with them, and then you've had to say farewell. And now it's your turn coming up. How is that different, and how is that making you feel?
Yeah, Pam, thanks so much for that question, because one of the biggest, really my favorite part of being up here, and I think the most special part to me, is the fact that I've been able to fly with, by the time Laurel's crew gets here, it'll have been 28 other people that I've spent time in space with, which, if I do the math right, that's almost 5% of the humans that have ever been to space, which is pretty incredible. And my NASA crewmates have been just absolutely outstanding. I've been able to fly with almost half of my classmates, which, as you know, flying with a classmate just has a pretty unique feel to it, and pretty special. And so, honestly, I couldn't have imagined that I would get to fly with half of my class. And then the international partners, starting with Samantha, an Italian astronaut, and then Koichi and Soichi, both Japanese astronauts, Sultan, an Emirati astronaut, and then Axiom brought up Ali and Ray, who were Arab astronauts. And so just having that diversity up here was just such a unique feeling. And of course, Sergey and Dmitry and their families, they're the only other people that really understand what this challenge was like. And so we'll have that brotherhood and that bond for the rest of our lives. So again, it's just been an incredible experience. And all of that, the crew has been incredible. But then we've also been able to see and feel the incredible support that the ground team provides. I've been able to work with some just absolutely outstanding flight directors. The flight control teams have been outstanding, and the support staff that just make sure that we have everything we and our families need to function at a high level up here. So just that whole experience of the NASA team and the international partner teams have been the most unique and the most special experience for me.
Frank, how many hours a day do you work out physical training in order to keep your body functioning in that very unique microgravity environment?
Yes, sir. They schedule us for about 2 hours a day. About an hour and 15 of that is on the ARID machine, which is the resistance machine, essentially what we would consider weightlifting down on Earth. And that's because obviously our bone density is one of the things that we most quickly lose up here, and that's because we're not standing, we're not walking, and that provides a lot of the impact that our bones need to maintain their health. And so that resistance training provides some of that resistance to our bones and keeps them strong. And then we also have cardiovascular workouts for about 30 to 45 minutes a day. And we can do that on either the stationary bike or on the treadmill. And so the combination of those things, I think, keep us pretty healthy. Honestly, I've tried to be pretty diligent about that because I want to be as functional as possible when I get back. I'm actually pretty excited. Again, as a doctor, I'm really excited to see how my body does when I return. I feel like I've stayed at a pretty high level up here, so it'll be interesting to see what those first couple of days feel like when I'm back on Earth.
Wow, Frank, you've had so many experiences in your life, at the back at the academy, you were on the jump team, then you were a helicopter pilot, you went through medical school, and then, of course, astronaut training and are now on orbit. So you've had all these amazing experiences. Maybe you can share what has been the most difficult part and also your favorite part of the mission.
Yeah, no, I've been blessed with some pretty incredible opportunities throughout my life. I think the most difficult one, again, is pretty easy, just the separation from family. That's been a challenge. As much as every day up here is different, right, because you're doing different maintenance, different science, there is some monotony to it, right, as far as every day the schedule pretty much looks the same. And then, again, we have some of the most absolutely beautiful and stunning scenery you could ever imagine. But inside the station, you're pretty limited to about a 5-bedroom house. And so psychologically for a year, that was a little bit of a challenge, but my crewmates were absolutely key to that, just getting to know each other better, spending time together, telling lots of stories. Having Steve Bowen up here, it was actually pretty special because we were able to hear a lot of shuttle stories. And as much as we made fun of him for that, for me, that was a pretty, it was neat to listen and learn. Having spent some time with Peggy, and what she's meant to human spaceflight, that was also pretty special. I'd say those were some of the most challenging components, but also my favorite because it involves the people.
Frank, anybody watching this is just absolutely amazed, and especially the young people watching this. So as we close out, why don't you give a message to the young people of planet Earth, especially those of Hispanic origin?
Yes, sir. Well, thanks again for that opportunity. And again, it's an honor to represent our nation, to represent NASA, and the various communities that we represent up here. And I would just say, keep working hard, have big dreams, but start acting on those dreams as soon as you can. Really, the hard work and the dedication are the key components to making those dreams come true. And as much as possible, be kind to others and surround yourselves with good team and good teammates, because ultimately there's very few things in life that we accomplish individually, and almost everything big that we accomplish as humanity requires incredible teamwork. And so try to surround yourself with good people and go out there and do great things.
That's beautiful, and we thank you. Bless you, Frank. We'll see you when you come home.
All right, sir. Thanks so much for your time, Pam. It was an honor to spend some time with you all, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from NASA headquarters. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.